651 3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
We've got an old-fashioned bedlam matchup here on the recruiting trail as we kick off flip season 2026 cycle style. That'll be yours here in a couple of moments. Welcome to Locked In on a Tuesday. Grayson Singleton here. Parker Thune is still at Brent Venables' press conference availability. So jumping in with me is a man who clocked me in the side of the face with a tripod yesterday, Connor Pasby.
I apologize about that, Grayson.
My face still hurts from that, by the way.
I'm impressed how you shook that off. That was a hard hit to the face.
Keep this in mind. I was holding the door open for you.
Swung kabam. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's all good, man. Second thing I got to say is Steely might be deaf. I put on these headphones, and as soon as that intro started playing, I was like, oh, my God.
Dude, he ranks that up every single time. Yeah, the old man is losing his hearing.
We love you, Steely. Today's show is brought to you, as always, by Dorsey Jones GMC, family-owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. They've got half-price oil changes on Saturdays, so go hit up our friends at Dorsey Jones GMC out there in El Reno. Okay. An old-fashioned bedlam matchup is taking place on the recruiting trail in 2024. Or in 2026, pardon me. I don't know why I was thinking 2024. Braden Allen, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago. We talked about him sparingly since then. 3-star wide receiver from Louisiana, currently committed to Tulane. And he is a flip target for Oklahoma at wide receiver. He has also become a flip target at wide receiver for Oklahoma State. He got an Oklahoma State offer. So now it's shaping up like this could be a matchup between the two Sooner State Power 4 football teams. It is an interesting one because the way you look at it is this. Oklahoma State has been kind of down the last couple of years, especially last year where they were horrid. And Oklahoma has a very charismatic wide receiver coach who just nailed down a pretty good recruiting cycle in 2025 with Elijah Thomas and Manny Choice. The other thing is this. Braden Allen seems to fit a trend for Oklahoma State, does he not? And here's where I want to tie this to the Sooners. Oklahoma, in its 2026 class, I have seen this more than I ever imagined I would see on an Oklahoma fan text line. The moniker 3-star U. Oklahoma's about to be 3-star U. No, that's Oklahoma State. I went back in the recruiting lineups for Oklahoma State, and I was thinking, how many 4-star wide receivers does Oklahoma State actually have? Now, Braden Allen is not a 4-star, but he's a 3-star, and it perfectly fits with the trend with Oklahoma State. I mean, in my lifetime, let's see, Tylan Wallace, Langston Anderson, Talon Shetron, that's the list of 3-star plus that Oklahoma State has had. At least in my time as an early teenager on. Let's phrase it that way. So Braden Allen would fit the trend for Oklahoma State. But. The Sooners were first to the party in terms of trying to flip him. The Sooners have an ascending arrow right now. We have no idea what's going on with Oklahoma State. I don't have any idea what's going on with Oklahoma State. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. There are people there that believe otherwise. Oklahoma is trending up. Oklahoma has a heck of a receiving core going into 2025. A receiving core that, if healthy, I think is going to show out. I think Deion Burks is going to look good. I think Javonte Gibson, when he gets back, is going to be a force. Isaiah Satania looks like just an old, reliable, move-the-chains type of guy. And I think the kicker here is going to be Elijah Thomas. Because if the Sooners can demonstrate that, hey, we can get a true freshman out here, and in true freshman roles, he can succeed, that's going to be very enticing to a kid like Braden Allen. So that's how I look at this. He fits the Oklahoma State trend, but I think right now Oklahoma has the present going for it that'll land Braden Allen and complete the flip. Because right now, I don't think Braden Allen's going to stick with Tulane. Nobody else does, especially after these types of schools come calling. Connor, what say you?
Well, no, you're right about him fitting what Oklahoma State does. Because I mean, when you look at the past history for Oklahoma State, they're good at producing really good wide receivers, and whether they may not be those 4-star, 5-star guys, Gundy's been able to turn 3-star kids and get them on the field and get great production out of them at the wide receiver spot. And just the OU wide receiver room in general right now, I mean, we're expecting a lot out of them going into this year when you match with the big physical guys they have on the outside and some fast slot guys, like you mentioned with Deion Burks and Elijah Thomas that could possibly play as a freshman right away. So, yeah, I think you're right on both sides of that with Oklahoma State and OU, and we'll just have to wait and see what he does. But ever since that gross announcement that he was going to Florida, OU just felt like, hey, we need to go get a wide receiver in this class.
Braden Allen has already locked in OVs with Oklahoma and Colorado for the season. So Colorado's in this as well, and you can't discount primetime Sanders. But in case you forgot what kind of a guy we're dealing with here as it pertains to Allen, 6'1", $170, 1,157 receiving yards, and 10 TDs on 55 catches last year for a quarterback, or with a quarterback, who some of you on the text line have watched his tape, as have I, is not very good.
No, he's not.
But because the quarterback's not very good, it has given Braden Allen a lot of room to showcase, especially his physicality at the catch point and winning those jump balls.
Well, if I remember correctly, going into that season for Tulane, there was high praise about the quarterback position. I'm going blank on who they had at quarterback, but
Darian Mensah.
Okay, but going into, that season in general, yeah, you're right about not great quarterback play, and Allen was still able to deliver with big plays for Tulane, and, yeah, you look at the numbers, and it's really solid what he did last year.
Yeah, no, it's great. So Allen, by the way, he's going to be a high school senior, so he hasn't been at Tulane. He just committed to Tulane, by the way. But I want to shift to this, Connor. I talk about peer recruiting a lot. You've probably heard this before. I love peer recruiting, and I really love Jake Krell. Mm-hmm. Have you guys looked at Jake Krell's Twitter timeline recently? KJ Ford posted something that Jake Krell responded to, and I'm going to pull it up for you so I can read it verbatim to you. So KJ Ford basically sent out a pretty cryptic text in response to Jake Krell's announcement that he committed to Oklahoma. He sends out the teardrop emoji. Just a teardrop emoji, which is how people my age communicate on social media with one singular emoji. It's the weirdest thing. Jake Krell responds saying, "Come on home, KJ." Jake has also been active welcoming the newest Sooner commit, Tank Carrington. If there isn't a guy who is 100% committed to a school, Jake Krell is that dude. And I love these type of players because those are going to be the guys that carry the mantle for the university. And you need those guys. Your roster these days is always going to be supplemented by the transfer portal. It always is. That's how it's going to be in this day and age of college football. And because of that, you don't always have a dude that's going to carry the mantle and be that day one representative for the university, whichever one he chooses, in this case, Oklahoma. But in Jake Krell, I see that guy. I saw that guy in John Mateer when he went to SEC Media Day. He looked like a dude who had been in Norman for 3 years. And I see that potential in Jake Krell, trying to get guys to come over. And then once he gets established in Norman as a player, he's going to be one of those ambassadors for the school that is going to elevate it long after he is gone. So that's why I love me
Yeah.
some Jake Crell.
No, you love to see it when guys get committed. No, they help out with the recruiting class, and you love that as a coaching staff when you got, a guy like that's taking a little bit of pressure off you on the recruiting side of things. I saw it a little bit with Bo Bentley when he committed. You see him go around the waves on Twitter, just trying to get guys to, come home to Norman and be a part of this class that they have.
Yeah, no kidding. 405-651-3439. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. A texter in the 469 says, Grayson, no good deed goes unpunished. Yeah, I held the door open for Connor, who's dragging around about 50 pounds of equipment, and my payback is a bruised jaw.
Chris from Knoxville says Grayson doesn't have a glass jaw. That is confirmed from Chris from Knoxville. 5-star Gunnio Stutzman Army C. Pezzi, don't play, Grayson. Yeah, you better watch it.
I'm not calling a game with you ever again.
You don't know what I'm going to do. 1-star Stillwater Sooner says, OK, State might win a conference game this year. Well, if they win one, Grayson, that's already better than last year.
They were
so progress on Oklahoma State's end.
They were so bad. They were so bad last year.
Dude, that was brutal. Just week in and week out. Something that we're just not used to seeing in Stillwater.
Hey, let me get to this. Tattoo Baker says, "Clean it up, Grayson. No slacking with Parker gone." What's going on, man? What I do to you? I will say this: Parker and I have very different styles of radio. We do, and it's part of how we work well together.
Well, Parker can go off the rails at times, and when he goes off the rails, it stays like that for a segment.
He said you stumbled on the phone number. I did stumble on the phone number. That's right. Because I said 3439 instead of 3439.
It can be tricky.
Yeah. Today's gonna be a long day for yours truly. I'll tell you that. I've got to go out to Bixby to call a softball game right after this.
I don't know if you know this, Grayson, but Boomer Bryce says this might be a question for Parker, but what made Tank drop from a 5-star to a 3-star just because he reclassified?
Okay, so that's a misnomer that even Parker – I had to ask Parker about this the other day. That's a misnomer that I'm not exactly sure where that came from. He's always been in the 2026 class. So him dropping from a 5-star to a 3-star has nothing to do with him reclassifying. So when On3 and Rivals merged, remember, when they merged, they redid all those rankings, which resulted in Jake Crell dropping from a bona fide 5-star to a solidified 4-star. So if I had to guess, and the reason for Jake Crell dropping had a lot to do with measurables, especially he's got shorter arms, I think the same is true for Tank Carrington because he just doesn't have the weight that you want at defensive tackle quite yet.
But at the same time, it is crazy to drop that much from a 5-star to a 3-star, especially because there's just so many 4-star guys in each class every single year. So that's quite of a big step back.
It's a precipitous drop, and what's strange is because you mentioned that there are so many 4-stars, and that the line between 4-stars and 3-stars, I think today have become more blurred than they ever have been. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you watch James Carrington's tape and say that's a 3-star dude. Because quite frankly, I haven't seen a dude that I've watched on tape in the year plus, almost 2 years that I've covered recruiting, that forces as many whiffs on the interior of the offensive line as Tank Carrington has.
Well, Tank still, he's got great size coming out of high school because, there's times when you look at, D linemen, they're making that jump from, senior year of high school to freshman year of college. They're around, the 250, 260 range you'll see with guys, but 6'3", 270 is a great size for Tank Carrington right now.
Does somebody have him listed at 270?
I'm just going off what Hayes Fawcett
put
on his graphic.
That's right. I did see that.
Yeah, he did. He had 6'3", 270 in there.
That seems a little bit generous. I think Parker said he's around 250. I could be wrong on that, but I think he's in the 250 range. Go ahead.
I was going to say a 20-pound difference is insane.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's like, who are you talking to? That's like when I was a junior in high school and I was about 6 foot tall at that point. And my coach had me listed at 6'3".
Yeah.
for AAU. I, to this day, am not 6'3".
We know KD's 7 foot, but he likes his 6'9" listed every single year.
There's no way in hell he's 6'9". I don't know who he thinks. I don't know who he thinks we're fooling. One-star Puerto Rican Sooner says OSU is the only reason Travis Hunter got the Heisman last year. He stat padded to get in the top 5 in receiving yards. In my opinion, Travis Hunter was the Heisman before that game.
He was, yes. But if you go back to that Colorado-Oklahoma State game,
I remember it
Travis
vividly.
Hunter, Travis Hunter padded the stats in that game.
Hey, coming up next, breakouts. I'm starting to think about breakout players for the schools that I cover. And I'm going to tell you a player that I think is going to define OU's season. It's going to be interesting. And by the way, when I talk about season-defining players, I'm not talking about the obvious. So there's not going to be any John Mateer or R. Mason Thomas or anything like that. But who can define the season from an under-the-radar perspective is what I'm talking about. 405-651-3439. All that coming up next. Locked on, locked in. Connor Pasby, I'm Grayson Singleton. Rolls on next.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
Dreaming of an escape? What about a relaxing escape to your very own backyard? Signature Custom Pools can turn your dreams into reality. Signature Custom Pools creates distinctive designs to fit your perfect getaway. Call Signature Custom Pools for your free design consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com and turn your backyard into your dream escape.
Would you like to play a more active role in your health? At Hightower Clinical, we believe all Oklahomans should have access to new potential treatment options through clinical trial participation. Our team wants to support you with the best care possible through clinical trials. No health insurance is required. Compensation is available for eligible study participants, and study care is provided at no cost.
Having the chance to go through a trial and find out if something works for them and makes their life easier, I would recommend them do it.
To learn more, scan this QR code and visit our website.
Discover the path to sobriety, emotional well-being, and lasting positive change with the Virtue Center, a nonprofit serving Oklahoma since 1972. Specializing in addiction, gambling, and mental health-related services, we offer same-day walk-in screening appointments Monday through Friday and serve ages 12 and up, as well as individual clients or families. Give us a call at 405-321-0022 or visit thevirtuecenter.org to learn more.
We tend not to think about right now, but right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. When you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing cancer research. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you. Donate at v.org, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Buying and selling a house or property can be overwhelming and stressful. At ROI Real Estate, Isaac Christian and his team make it easy and stress-free. With their 25 years of experience, ROI is capable of handling all things real estate. Whether it be commercial, industrial, multifamily, residential, or raw land, ROI Real Estate can help. They even specialize in office sales and leasing. Don't wait. Let ROI Real Estate make selling or buying residential or commercial property easy for you. ROI Real Estate, 405-358-3311, or visit ROIRE.com.
Oh, hey, I'm back.
There he is.
Locked In rolls on here on the ref. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Thanks to Connor Pasby, I should say, for filling in for one segment while I was out and about, speaking with such luminaries as Jay Valai, Emmett Jones, Todd Bates, Ivan Carrione, and, somewhat surprisingly, Owen Heineke, who's had a really good camp, Grayson. Owen Heineke. He earned a shout-out, in fact, from Brent Venables last week when we spoke with him. Venables said Owen Heineke has had one of the best camps of anybody so far at any position. So the redshirt junior linebacker, former walk-on, former lacrosse player at Ohio State, could very well find himself in the rotation at linebacker. My expectation, just based on the folks I've talked to with regard to Owen Heineke, is that he's going to play. I don't think he's going to start, but he's actually going to play. Like, this is not just a guy that you're hearing good things about on the practice field and then he never actually sees any game time come the fall. No, I think Owen Heineke is going to play. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. This hour of programming here on the ref brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians and friendly service advisors that put your needs first. They also offer half-price oil changes on Saturdays. All that and incredible pricing as well. Check out Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. So bring me up to speed. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off for the last hour. What'd you guys cover in the first segment?
Braden Allen getting the Oklahoma State offer.
Oh,
got a bedlam
naturally
feud. Got a bedlam feud to flip a 3-star wide receiver in the 2026 class. And then I touched on why I love Jake Krell so much as a pure recruiter. I mean, you look on Twitter and you see this guy trying to lure KJ Ford over. You see a guy welcoming Tank Carrington. So to me, he seems like a guy, and I said this about John Mateer at SEC Media Day, but Jake Krell seems like a guy who could potentially be so committed to the university that 3-4 years down the line, he's a guy that you're saying he's taking on the mantle of being an ambassador for Oklahoma, being that guy that the Oklahoma culture rests upon, one of those leaders and the caretakers of the culture, those type, Danny Stutzman type of guy. That's why I'm very excited about Jake Krell. So we talked about that in the first segment.
I was just scrolling through the text line and somebody referenced your podcast on the text line, and it occurred to me, how interesting is it that one of your shows is called Locked In and the other is called Locked On?
Because I kind of fumbled it, and that prompted Tattoo Baker to say this. Grayson, you need to lock in Spencer Sanders' level of a show right now. Which to that I will say, Spencer Sanders beat y'all.
Who is y'all?
I was still a student at Oklahoma State at the time.
So are you siding with the we here being Oklahoma State? Is that the stance you're taking?
For that particular sentence.
Okay.
Yes, I will switch hats.
Okay.
Well,
I'll let the text line handle the rest of that discourse. Okay. On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, a 405 listener says, we talk about how good the defense is and the depth we have, but what is holding them back from being elite? Good question. Grayson, in your mind, you look at this defense, you look at the personnel that constitute this defense for Oklahoma. What, if anything, is going to hold this defense back from being elite in 2025, from being a championship caliber defense?
If the cornerback play doesn't live up to the hype that we've been giving it. Now, we think it will, all things being considered with health. So if Gentry Williams is healthy, and Eli Bowen comes back healthy, and Cortland Guillory is as good as we think it is, and Jacoby Johnson has made that jump to really solidifying his technical aspects of being a corner, then this defense is elite. But if that doesn't happen, and if Eli Bowen doesn't come back as the same level of player that he was a season ago, if Cortland Guillory, even though he's had an excellent offseason, has too many, well, he's a true freshman moments, okay, then we're still talking about there being a pretty noticeable weakness on the defense. Maybe not a liability, but a weakness. So if they still don't up the level of corner play, I think that's what could hold them back from being a championship level defense.
To me, here's what the answer is. And I'm not saying this is a major question mark going into the fall. It's just, I wonder how it manifests on game day. I can't help but wonder. Who is the intelligence hub for this defense? And how do they execute that role relative to the way that Danny Stutzman executed it?
Mm-hmm.
Because leadership is a real thing, and I'm not just talking about a guy firing up the rest of the defense in the huddle before you break to go out and start a drive. No, I'm talking about a guy that at the line of scrimmage in real time, as things are unfolding rapid fire on the football field during the heat of battle, is there somebody on this defense, and you would think that first answers that come to mind are Kip Lewis and Kobe McKenzie, are there guys on this defense, is there a guy on this defense that is capable of fulfilling, or I should say, filling that aspect of the void that Danny Stutzman leaves behind? That's really it. I'm not worried about cornerback. I'm not. I figured I would be. I was a month ago. I'm not worried anymore. I have no concerns about cornerback. I'm not worried about safety. I'm not really worried about linebacker. Certainly not worried about defensive line. To me, it's less about personnel and more about execution. And also just having somebody that can diagnose at the line of scrimmage, recognize pickup on patterns, and just generally be the guy that calls all of the shots in real time for this defense and serves as the conduit between Brent Venables and the other 10 dudes on the field.
Yeah, I've been on that for months when it pertains to replacing Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman. Where is that sort of intangible, that leadership intangible, going to come from? And that's something we're going to have to wait until the season to see, and really deep into the season. But as it pertains to corner, here's what you're relying upon. You're relying upon a dude who unfortunately has not been able to stay healthy for most of his time at Oklahoma, a dude who has had one of the strangest injury sagas over the course of the last 6 months, and a true freshman. So that's what you're relying on to level up that unit from being a liability that it was last year to being really, really good this year. Now, I'm not saying I don't expect them to do it. What I am saying is we got to see it. And right now, it's on a shaky foundation, but the best of it can be absolutely excellent.
If we're placing bets with regard to Oklahoma football in 2025, am I betting on John Mateer being a nationally elite quarterback? I would say the answer is no, and some people might not like to hear that, but the reason being is I don't feel like I need to bet on that. In order for this team to go where they want to go, in order for this team to earn a college football playoff berth, I don't think John Mateer needs to be a nationally elite quarterback. I don't think he needs to be in New York City. If he is, then certainly this team will have accomplished all of their goals. But if he is merely upper echelon in college football, if he is one of the upper tier guys, to me, that's good enough. I would say this. Amongst the bets that I am comfortable making, if we're looking at some of the things that we just legitimately don't know about this football team that we have to either trust or not trust heading into 2025, I am comfortable betting on the cornerback room. That's a bet I'm comfortable making. There are other bets that I would not be comfortable making at this time. For instance, am I comfortable betting on the offensive line to solve all of their issues that they experienced this season ago? No, and to your point, that's something I feel like I have to see. Or I'm not going to stick my neck out and guarantee that that happens or tout the possibility that that happens until we get to see it on the actual gridiron. Postal Sooner says, I'm hoping this season for the first time in the BV era, our defense will protect the middle of the field. So frustrating watching us get scorched in the middle in the passing game. Yeah, that has been a trend, no doubt. And honestly, a lot of that, you think back to the Ole Miss game in particular a season ago, it was the linebackers that struggled in coverage. And look, OU didn't have 4 or 5 guys on the field at once in the back end that were 100% capable of locking down an area of the field on their lonesome. Like Kenai Walker, anytime Kenai Walker was on the field, I was squirming. I would imagine that was the case for the majority of the OU fan base. So not to lay it all at the feet of the linebackers, but again, if you go back and you watch that Ole Miss game, then I think what you come to see is, especially in the second half, Danny Stutzman and Jaron Kanik, I do believe in particular, was still seeing the field a lot at that point. I could be wrong on that, but it felt like it was the tight ends for Ole Miss. Caden Priestcorn, most specifically, I can recall him having a big day. But it was those guys working over the middle of the field and taking advantage of slow reads and slow execution by the Oklahoma linebackers to create some space. And Jackson Dart, being the experienced quarterback that he was and is, he was able to find him and help Ole Miss rally from that halftime deficit to beat Oklahoma. So, yeah, protecting the middle of the field, that's crucial. You'd like to be able to protect all areas of the field. And frankly, again, when you look at the archetypes in that cornerback room, that's kind of why I feel like Oklahoma's going to be more capable of dealing with some of those repeated vulnerabilities that have reared their ugly heads in recent years. If you have cornerbacks that you can trust, it makes it a lot easier to account for the other guys on the football field that your 2 cornerbacks out wide aren't accounting for. If you can trust, hey, our guys on the outside are going to hold their one-on-one matchups, they're going to power down the opposition's wideouts, then accounting for whatever space might exist for the tight ends and running backs and slot guys to operate becomes a lot easier.
I'm watching Greg McElroy on his Always College Football podcast say that Missouri is an SEC dark horse.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm not buying the Bo Pribula hype.
No, neither am I.
And Bo Pribula isn't like they haven't even settled on a starting quarterback. Bo Pribula or Sam Horn.
Mm-hmm.
Who will it be? And hey, you know what? If you have a starting quarterback battle, that doesn't mean that both options are bad. OU fans should know this from experience because Lincoln Riley touted a quarterback battle every single offseason. He touted a quarterback battle between Kyler Murray and Austin Kendall, most famously.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, everybody and their dog knew, at least locally, that Kyler Murray was the far superior option to Austin Kendall, and then Kyler Murray went and won the Heisman Trophy. So just because your head coach is touting a quarterback battle in his interactions with the media does not mean that both of the options are inferior, but what have we seen from Bo Pribula and or Sam Horn that would lead you to believe either of those guys is going to be able to keep the train on the tracks for Missouri? Also, you don't have Luther Burden anymore.
No, you do not. And by the way, he looked pretty good in Chicago's preseason game a couple of days ago. A texter in the 469 says, Connor, get him again with that tripod. JK, love you, Grayson.
Oh, did you guys talk about when he jacked you in the face yesterday with the tripod?
I led off the show with that.
Nice.
I forgot you were right there when that happened.
Oh, man.
Oh,
it was a casualty.
Just a little bit. Kyle from Salisaw says, I always knew the orange turtleneck-wearing guy would show his true colors on the show. Not mad or hurt, just disappointed in you, G. Too low of a blow. Hey, man, if people take their swings at me, I'm authorized to take my swings back, and I have never worn an orange turtleneck.
You do have several turtlenecks in the wardrobe, though, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's good that none of them are orange.
No, white, black, maroon, and navy.
It's a good color palette.
Yeah.
It's a good color palette. Those 4 colors you can't really go wrong with.
Nope, and I can mix and match them with a ton of different different blazer colors. I only have 2.
I don't know if you can find, like, the average human being, to me, just looks good in white, black, maroon, navy. Like, it's hard to mess those colors up. It's hard not to look good in those colors, if you know what you're doing, stylistically.
There are a lot of people that don't.
That is fair. Markham Blanchard's in the middle of the field and 3rd and long, i.e. 5 yards or more. How about 18 in Columbia, Missouri?
Oh, God.
Sorry to bring that unfortunate memory up.
3rd and long shouldn't be a problem, though.
No, it really shouldn't.
Not with the pass rush that Oklahoma has the potential to have.
And that right there, I think that is the primary reason why I wouldn't expect Oklahoma's going to have major 3rd and long vulnerabilities. Because it wasn't just an issue against Missouri, right? Like the Auburn game, Oklahoma surrendered several conversions on 3rd and long. Ole Miss converted several 3rd and long in that game. And so, yeah, just get home. As long as the pass rushers get home, which they should be able to do. And a lot of those 3rd and long conversions, as I recall, happened because of misplays from the cornerbacks. Kenai Walker against Auburn, Jacoby Johnson against Missouri. Like, you just fix the little things. You should be fine. You should be more than fine. Okay, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We've got to get to a break here. When we return, one final segment of Locked In here on a Tuesday. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Dusty Dvorak here. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Back to school means back to your favorite casino.
And Riverwind jackpots are back in session. Win with a spin on all your favorite electronic games.
Take your hand to the next level in our premier poker room.
Keep the good times rolling every Friday in August with your wild card.
And play for your share of the $200,000 Under Neon birthday giveaway.
And celebrate 19 years with the best food, drinks, and service in the metro.
Only at Riverwind Casino.
Norman Chamber of Commerce, Visit Norman, and the City of Norman encourage you to shop local this summer. Find good eats right here like Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. They've got delicious burgers, giant salads, and a front row seat to the next big game. Make sure to get the Young Family Athletic Center on your kids' summer schedule. Court rentals are always available to reserve in advance. Plus camps, clinics, and leagues are going on now, and it's not too late to sign up. Get your gear ready for the season with Bamboa Apparel. Custom hats, polos, tees, and jackets embroidered just for your team at Bamboa Apparel. Visit Sooner Bowling Center this summer, featuring 24 lanes, a newly remodeled arcade, and the Spare Time Grill. Plus, check out summer camps at SoonerBowl.com. When you eat, shop, and play local, you help the Norman community thrive.
This is Peggy W., and I opened DM Wealth Management because of a horrible experience that my mother had with a stockbroker. I wanted to give people an alternative, a place they could go to understand their money, to know why investment decisions were made the way they were, and to create a financial plan that would help them meet their goals. Most of all, I wanted to help them plan their prosperity. Call me at 405-329-8884 or dmwealth.com.
Are you craving authentic Italian food? Gabarino's in Norman is the stop. Gabarino's is coming up on 15 years of business, and everything is made from scratch daily. They have $12 lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 2. Whether you're coming in to sit and eat or need to grab a take and bake option, Gabarino's can accommodate everyone. Call 405-310-2229 or swing by their location on Ed Noble Parkway and celebrate their 15 years of amazing authentic Italian food. Gabarino's in Norman.
Maybe it was a family vacation or a school field trip. But there you were, standing in awe at a national park. We are the National Park Foundation, And together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation, gets their chance at an unforgettable moment. Today, tomorrow, forever. Learn more at nationalparks.org/foundation.
Hey, it's Mike Steele here for my friend Gary and the great staff at Cavens Group. After all the rain in the spring and now with temperatures on the rise, you might have a problem with mold growing in your home or business. Let the staff at Cavens help you before it becomes a major issue. Don't forget, Cavens can help you with water emergencies and biohazard cleanup 24 hours a day. Call Cavens today at 405-573-3048 or visit them online at cavensgroup.com.
This school year, get back into your routine with Cavender Ford of Oklahoma City. Choose your new ride, an F-150, Bronco, or Explorer for just $495 a month. Whether you need muscle for the job, room for the family, or a little off-road fun, Cavender Ford of Oklahoma has you covered. Come for a test drive today at 7320 Northwest Expressway or visit us online at CavenderFordOKC.com. Cavender Ford of Oklahoma City, where confidence is Cavender.
It is the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton winding down with you here on Locked In. Lost City Sooner on the text line makes a good point. We also have to consider the defense was on the field all dang day last year. Good defense can't stand up all day against good offense. I mean, we were atrocious on offense to the point where it was a lot of 3-and-out series, and the defense always played with their backs to the wall. That right there is an excellent point, Lost City Sooner. And yet another reason why it is not asinine to think Oklahoma could be significantly better on defense. And they were obviously a really good defense last year, no question about it. But that's one reason why this defense could verge on elite status. Like, that's reasonable to expect, is simply because they're going to have to defend less possessions. Was there a team that defended more snaps than Oklahoma last year in the Power Four? I don't know if there was.
That's a ranking, especially with defensive time on the field, that I have not looked up. You know what? Let me see if I can find that here.
Yeah, because I seem to recall at the end of last season, there was that stat floating around that Oklahoma has defended more snaps in 2024 than any other program in the Power Four. I don't know that to be the case. My memory isn't 100% clear on that one, but yes. I think they were definitely towards the top. If they weren't number one, they were certainly towards the top. Kyle from Salsaw says, since it's a recruiting show, and it is for the most part, when there's recruiting happenings going on, what do we think of Jalen Brewster? Jalen Brewster, for those that aren't familiar, 5-star defensive tackle out of Cedar Hill High School down in the DFW area. Likes OU a lot. Issue is Oregon also likes Jalen Brewster a lot, and Jalen Brewster likes Oregon. So for several months now, that has looked like an OU-Oregon battle in the long. Like, I don't know with certainty which direction it's going to swing. Oklahoma's in very good position, but are they in good? Having watched Jalen Brewster at camp earlier this summer, I'm all in on that dude. He's big. He's incredibly quick. He's got an ideal build, like a ton of muscle, but still a little bit of room to add mass, add weight. And so Oklahoma has placed a very high priority, high emphasis on landing Jalen Brewster in the 2027 class. I mean, he's right up there with Cooper Hackett and Peyton Houston amongst their top overall targets. If you were trying to theorize, okay, who is Oklahoma, if you could get inside Jim Nagy's head and you could try and figure out which player Oklahoma wants the most on offense and the player they want the most on defense, if you're trying to determine the absolute top target on both sides of the ball, in the 2027 class. I think what you would arrive at is, okay, drag race between Peyton Houston and Cooper Hackett on the offensive side of the ball. Certainly Jalen Brewster on the defensive side of the ball. 405 listener asks, no Zane Rowe? Well, Oklahoma loves Zane Rowe. No question. He was committed to Oklahoma at one point, the 4-star defensive end out of Denton Guyer High School. But, man, Jalen Brewster is an elite prospect at a premium position. That's not to take anything away from Zane Rowe, but if you have your choice, if you had to make a choice between a 4-star defensive end, which is what Zane Rowe is, or a 5-star defensive tackle, I think the overwhelming majority are going with the 5-star defensive tackle.
Especially when you think about what stands out in Brent Venables' defenses. Go back to the Clemson days with Dexter Lawrence, Miles Murphy, Brian Brzee. They might have been post Brent Venables there. I'd have to go back and look at that. But even Dominic Williams and Jaden Jackson now. Defensive tackles. Brent Venables' defenses have had great interior tackle play. So, yeah, I would go with Jalen Brewster, too, if for nothing else, the scheme fit. By the way, I found opponent snaps per game. Now, Oklahoma is not going to be as high as you think.
Really?
They are not
Oh,
going to be
okay.
they're not going to be as high as you think. They had the 50th fewest. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they averaged around, if I can find this again, and my computer just is failing me, 67.2 opposing snaps.
Oh, so I was way off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I'm a moron.
67.2, which is the 50th fewest out of 134.
Okay. Sooner fan in Texas says, we just needed the offense to be below average last year, not historically. I mean, that's true, isn't it? Like,
It really is.
If you just think about games where below average offense would have sufficed. It would have sufficed against Missouri. It would have sufficed against Tennessee. It would have likely sufficed against Ole Miss as well.
I do push back on the Tennessee one, though, because it kind of seemed like Tennessee, once they got up a comfortable margin, like you could tell with how Josh Heupel was calling that game, at least from my vantage point, it kind of looked like they took their foot off the gas.
There's a case to be made, certainly. But also, how much does it change the complexity of that game if Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball over 3 times in the first half?
Very true. Very true.
How does it change the complexity of the game if Tennessee's first turnover, and maybe only turnover that day, which was a fumble on their own 5-yard line, isn't immediately handed back to them courtesy of Jackson Arnold?
No, you're exactly right.
And you get so much as a field goal out of that.
And coming out of that research that I just did about the opposing snaps, I think the more appropriate stat to look up is, how many times did Oklahoma's offense give the ball to the other team in plus territory? I think that would better tell the story of 2024 as it pertains to the defense getting put in disadvantageous situations.
Jim in Arlington says, and plus, when the defense would gift wrap the ball back to the offense would just choke it up and give it back to the other team, which I think he's most specifically referring to that fumble from Jackson Arnold against Tennessee. Alex from Dallas wants to know, Parker, how many points per game does this OU defense need to keep its opponents to this year to have a legit shot at making it to Atlanta? Well, points per game is probably not the metric you want to look at, because there are several games on this schedule that are going to skew the numbers in that regard. For instance, if Oklahoma gives up double-digit points to Illinois State and or Kent State, there are problems. So odds are you're going to have at least 3 games, Illinois State, Kent State, and Temple, where you give up very few points. So I think you need to look at it in terms of, okay, what's going to be good enough to beat each of these individual opponents? I would say, in general, if you have an offense that is capable of scoring 30 points a game, if you have an offense that is capable of scoring 30 points a game and a defense that can make the requisite plays to keep the opposition below that threshold week in and week out in the SEC, you're going to have a playoff resume, a playoff-worthy resume, certainly. If you can score 30 points in the Red River Showdown against Texas, you're going to have a real good shot to win that game. If you can score 30 points against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, you're going to have a really good shot to win that game. So it's the reason why I would caution against taking one metric or one statistic like that and trying to isolate it and correlate it to Oklahoma's overall success is because you want to be playing complementary football, which is something that we've seen in very limited quantities from Oklahoma in the Brent Venables era. But if you're playing complementary football, there will be weeks where you win 24-20, and there will be weeks where you win 41-38. Complementary football is what you're looking for, not a specific points per game metric for your offense, not a specific points per game threshold for your defense. It's about, hey, how do your two units work in conjunction? How do they work harmoniously to compensate for whatever mistakes the other makes and give you the chance to go up against any of your opponents in the SEC and win, regardless of what it looks like? Because there's not one formula in the SEC. You're not going to win 24-20 every single week, nor are you going to win 41-38 every single week. You can't sustain that in the SEC. You have to be able to win different ways. Complementary football is key.
If you want a hard number, though, Oklahoma, over the course of the entirety of last season, gave up 21.5 points per game. So let's just say that inflates to 23 points per game. If Oklahoma cannot win 8 games giving up 23 points per game, do we have questions as to if Ben Arbuckle is who he says he is and who we believe Ben Arbuckle to be? If the defense can hold opponents to 22 points a game or 23 points a game, Oklahoma should easily win. Maybe not easily, but if the offense is as good as we think it's going to be, they should be able to win 8 games like that.
CJ Sooner in Florida says, man, my last 9 texts have gotten straight up ignored. I'm past walking status. I'm the high school recruit that got cut from the team. We ran out of unis for you, buddy. Coach Pat's head. Sorry, CJ Sooner. We don't intentionally ignore your texts. We get a lot of them, especially during this hour. People love texting us between 2 and 3 p.m. So our show can be subject to the whims of the text line at times, which is fine. It's great. We love it. We love talking about what you guys want us to talk about. PA in Dale City says, let's be honest. We haven't seen complimentary football for over a decade. Lincoln Riley never had complimentary football. The one exception, I truly do believe, and I know everybody would like to make it out as though Lincoln Riley's teams never played complimentary football because in their mind's eye, Lincoln Riley, all he cared about was offense. And there's some truth to that, right? Mm-hmm. But 2020, if you go back to the 2020 season, Oklahoma did play complimentary football in 2020, especially over the second half of the campaign. That Oklahoma team that we saw down the stretch in 2020 was capable of hanging with anybody in the country. Think about some of the things they did that season. They lost the 2 early games to Iowa State and Kansas State. But thereafter, I mean, it all kind of culminated in the beatdown in the Cotton Bowl, in which they throttled Dan Mullen in Florida, and Dan Mullen was basically like, our season ended whenever the SEC championship ended. This doesn't mean anything. And then he was fired the next year. But OU went to TCU, played a fantastic defensive game, won 33-14. They beat Texas 53-45 in one of the most thrilling Red River showdowns of all time. They beat the brakes off Oklahoma State 41-13. Oklahoma State was ranked number 14 in the nation at the time. They beat Baylor 27-14. Did not play great offense that day, but the defense showed up. It was the same thing in the Big 12 title game against Iowa State. They won that game 27-21. And Trey Brown, who else, clinched that game with an interception. So that is the last time that I can recall seeing consistently complimentary football at Oklahoma. Outside of that, PA, you're right for the most part. There hasn't been a lot of complimentary football over the last decade. That 2023 team had their moments. It certainly did. Longest stretch I've seen of consistently complimentary football in the time I've covered the program was 2020. Outside of that, it's been, well, for the most part, with the script being flipped recently. First it was, well, the offense better score because that's your only path to winning. Or, more recently, the defense better lock it down because that's your only chance of winning.
Sounds like a lot of these Dallas Cowboys teams over the course of the last 20 years, right?
All right, folks, we are done on today's installment of Locked In. Thanks for riding with us for the past hour. Thanks to Connor Pasby for filling in while I was out at post-practice availability. You're going to want to stick around The Rush is coming up with Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas. We will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, for another installment of Locked In here with you on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.